From next year, new cars sold in Australia will be subjected to tough emissions standards, with the goal of driving emissions down and accelerating the uptake of electric vehicles. The rules are supposed to impose a cap on the total emissions that can be produced by any one manufacturer's fleet of cars. They'll need to reduce the total emissions of their fleet by more than 60% by 2030, or they get fined. No specific models of cars will be banned, but there are concerns consumers could face higher prices on popular models, including Utes and four-wheel drives. So joining me live now is Australian Automotive Dealer Association CEO James Voortman. James, thanks so much for joining us. What do you think about this proposal? Is it going to work as intended, or the government wants it?
Look, we've been on record saying that we believe the government's proposal goes too far, too fast. We're really concerned that trying to reduce the emissions of our entire fleet by 60% over a period of 5 years goes beyond what other countries have done, and as a result risks us compromising affordability and choice of vehicles here in Australia.
Why is that? I mean, if you really want to get emissions down, it's about getting older cars off the road. The new ones are pretty efficient, or the most efficient they've been in any time in history.
Well, that's an excellent point. The best way to improve our emissions profile is to get old cars off the road. This standard will only apply to new cars. And if we do make vehicles more expensive, people are less likely to upgrade, get out of their old car into a new car, and new cars are generally safer, cleaner and greener. So I think we need to be very conscious that when we make these decisions, that we need to know that there are 3 million cars sold in Australia every year. 1 million of them are new and 2 million of them are used. So there is choice there for consumers. And if they have a restriction of choice, or if new vehicles are too expensive, they will shop on the used market.
Yeah, James, the way I look at it is the government needs people to buy new cars, and older cars need to be decommissioned. That's how you get to a cleaner emissions standard, don't you? But we're looking at a cost of living crisis at the moment, and new cars in Australia, compared to our peers, are just getting more and more expensive, aren't they?
Well, look, that's right. And, if you look at overseas, countries have generally used scrappage schemes, which are those that you've talked about, trying to get older cars off the road by incentivizing consumers to buy those new cars.
Yeah.
And also, the proposal that the government's put forward is something we've seen in other markets. We're one of the very few countries that don't have a fuel efficiency standard, and we need one. But we need one that is appropriate. The United States, who we're being compared to, has had decades to reduce their emissions with a similar system. They also provide consumers with rebates of around $7,500 US. So if we're trying to catch up with the rest of the world, we need to put in place the policy frameworks that they've put in place in other parts of the world.
I'm thinking of Singapore as well. Would you support what they do in Singapore? And that is, this is not exactly right, but the older your car gets, the more you pay in rego every year. Would that work?
Look, there are some real issues with that when you're talking about fairness. Not everybody can afford a new car, so that would be, a bitter pill to swallow for some of those people. Singapore does have the different challenges. It's an island state, and they really do need to regulate the number of cars on their roads. So it is incredibly expensive to own and operate a car in Singapore. In Australia, we love our cars, and we shouldn't be seeking to tax them further than they already are, because I can promise you, Laura, motorists are paying a lot of money in various fuel taxes, stamp duties and the like.
Luxury car tax. It is a web of tax if you're buying a car, new or old. But before I let you go, James, is there any free advice for the government on your way out of this interview this morning as to how you, because you're at the coalface, right, how you think they could achieve what they obviously want to achieve without doing what they're doing?
Well, look, it must be said they've put forward their preferred option, but it's not their only option. So I do believe the government's still open to discussion with industry, and I would urge them to have that discussion with industry and understand that the retailers in Australia know what customers want. They also know that manufacturers need time to bring these new fuel-efficient vehicles to the country. So work with us and let's work together to get the best outcome for industry and for consumers.
Well said, James. Thanks so much for your time.